Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow. I think by now everybody has been talking about the Scott Cawthon cancellation, or more or less the Scott Cawthon. Let's throw him off of the internet because he apparently has donated money to some politicians who we do not approve of. Now, keep in mind the fact it's not necessarily the fact that he had donated to the Republican Party that's the main issue, although that's part of it. The main part of it is the specific Republicans that he donated to. Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump, those people who have had a history of voting for things that go against social justice, like LGBTQ plus community rights, the whole idea of equality. They have voted many times against that. And of course, Donald Trump has been the one that has been accused many times of starting the January 6th riots at the Capitol, or at the very least, he instigated what eventually happened there. And he had been the target of many authoritarian attacks ever since he came down the escalator at Trump Tower, New York City. Now, of course, I'm no fan of Trump. Anybody can tell you that. And I think that a lot of the criticisms that he has gotten are well justified. I think that he has more than bungled his way through the presidency, and I do believe that he deserved to be voted out of office for more than one thing. And I do not agree with several of the Republican people that he had donated to, that being Scott Cawthon. However, at the same time, do understand that the reasons that he specified are for economic reasons that were more localized. And that's where politics do start, is all politics seem to be localized, is that you vote for people who are going to help you out on a more local level, like city council members or treasurers or mayors or governors or people like that who are going to actually make a difference in your specific area, in your specific city or county or town or in your state. And the people who are in Washington, they don't really do that much as it pertains to the localized area that you live in. So when you talk about politics, all politics seem to be more local than more national. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should completely ignore the national scene, and obviously you should vote whatever you are asked to, because that's the one responsibility you have as a U.S. citizen, is to vote. Many people do vote for, say, U.S. senator or the president, and then stop right there and never go into like who is going to be your sheriff, who's going to be your mayor, who's going to be your city council member, who's going to go to the state senate and represent your district. I do believe that was the basis behind what Scott Cawthon was voting for and who he was donating money to. And plus, this was a list which I don't know if it was partial, if it was full. We don't know who else he was giving money to. And we were talking all about who else has been giving money to the Republican Party. Disney has, Warner Brothers has, Amazon has, of course, Jeff Bezos. They're gonna want something in return. That's how things work. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. I know this because I follow it too. You don't think for 1 second that no gamer in the world would also follow politics? Is that something that people don't realize about gamers, is that they also follow politics? I mean, we had to deal with Jack Thompson for who knows how long, Joe Lieberman for who knows how long. And we were trying to tell people, hey, these people are not telling you the entire story, and no one would listen when people were saying that games do not create real world violence. There is no sufficient data to support that, and no one would listen because of the media and the politicians believing that somehow, someway, the gaming world was eating into their profits, so they had to find some way to vilify us, and that was the best way to do it. And now the best way to vilify gamers, because it's eating into their profits, it's eating into the entertainment world's profits, is to say that we are misogynistic and homophobic and bigoted and whatever else you want to label us as. This is no accident. They are doing this intentionally. But the worst thing about this, and this is what gets me about the Scott Cawthon thing, and this is something that I've been talking about and what a lot of other people who are actually giving a crap about video games are talking about time and time again, is that these newfound people who are in video game media, they don't care about us. And they're going to do whatever they can in order to push people out who go against the grain even in the slightest bit. And for those people who just crawled out from under a rock and doesn't know who Scott Cawthon is, he is the person who created Five Nights at Freddy's, that whole franchise. He's the person behind it. And because he got doxxed, because his wife and soon-to-be-born child is getting threats and is getting caught in a crossfire here, he decided he was going to retire from the gaming industry and maybe put the franchise in the hands of somebody who might not really care about it that much. And the response that the mainstream video game media outlets are giving him, they're trying to say bye Felicia to him. They're saying, okay, bye, this is not the way you're supposed to do it. This is not the way that you give money to anybody. These are not the people you should be giving money to. Now, keep in mind that he did give money to Tulsi Gabbard, who is a Democrat, but keep in mind that Tulsi Gabbard has been in the crosshairs of some of the more extreme left-wing progressive talking heads, more specifically the Young Turks, who they have a lot of problems on their camp right now. So I would not be talking so much there. And plus, Tulsi Gabbard is more of a centrist Democrat. She's more of a person who Joe Rogan has endorsed. And the more that I see that some of these more extreme authoritarian mindsets are going after her, the more I would like to hear more about her, because she seems to be having her head on straight and not bowing down to people like this on the right or the left and saying, hey, I'm going to be pretty much independent here. I don't know why she won't go that way, but she should, because this is getting really insane if you can't disagree with an authoritarian mindset even in the slightest bit. And if you want to go and say that Scott Cawthon is donating to people who would be against LGBTQ plus rights, keep in mind that Tulsi Gabbard is a member of the House LGBTQ plus Equality Caucus and has a 100% record in Congress from the Human Rights Campaign. But of course, in today's day and age of we always have to hang Damocles' sword on everybody who dared to at one point in time have different positions and change them, then they're always held to what they had said previously. They hold those previous positions she had over her head because she dared to criticize the media. And this is what this is all about. Whenever somebody criticizes the media, whether it be from politics or in this case video gaming, and I have the feeling that perhaps we need to see whether or not Scott Cawthon ever criticized the mainstream video game media in order to have somebody attack him in this sort of way, because this is how the media works. They try to attack you without letting the public know of why the smear campaign is even going on, or it was a smear campaign. So I have a feeling that maybe people need to realize that viewpoints do change and viewpoints do mature over time, and we can't hold people to those beliefs that they hold at one point in time, but they try to change their ways, because quite frankly, if we do that, then nobody would be safe from cancellation. But we live in an era where not only is that sort of behavior being represented through not only our elected officials, but also from the media, but people on Reddit, people on Twitter, and all other sorts of social media platforms are actively encouraging it. And I've never seen it going to this state where if you say, hey, this is going too far, it only encourages those people who are engaging in this to go further. It's as if they're saying, go ahead, try to say that we're going too far. Try to say that we're doing this. They're trying to dare us in order to call them out. So they'll do more of it. How backwards is this? And they're going to some of the most extreme lengths, like doxing their family. Why is that okay? And here's the biggest thing about this. Kotaku even went as far as saying, hey, this is not okay that you're going after their family, but then go through several different paragraphs of why it's not okay that he was donating to these politicians. Why not do a full story about how some things are going way too far? That yes, you can have consumer advocacy. Yes, you can talk about these issues. Yes, you can talk about those things. But if you're going to talk about those things, do it in a way that doesn't give us the impression that you're funneling money to your advertisers and you're trying to make your advertiser happy instead of us gamers happy. Because newsflash, us gamers, we don't think the same way about politics. Yes, I am a Democrat. Yes, I am left of center. Yes, I did vote for Biden. You want to see the ballots I made? I can show them to you. There is a such thing as a paper trail, but yes, all politics are local. So yes, I'm gonna vote for whoever I believe is going to progress us into the next millennium or the next decade or whatever else to get us out of the situations that we need to address. And if I knew that Tulsi Gabbard had changed her viewpoints and was willing to move her needle, I may have considered her. Why? Because I believe that it takes a strong person in order to admit that, hey, you made an error. That takes a strong person to to admit that and to try to change based upon that knowledge that maybe you screwed up, maybe you thought the wrong thing, or that you are open-minded and you are willing to change your views and you are willing to listen to people. You are willing to hear people out, because that's what a politician is supposed to do. They're supposed to go to their constituents. They're supposed to go to places where they are representing, and they're supposed to be able to have a back and forth with the people who are going to vote for them, who are going to be affected by the decisions that they make. And if I see somebody who is going to change your viewpoint based upon what they see and what they experience, then yes, I'm going to give them a better look. I'm going to give them a closer look, because that's what I would hope anybody would want, and not just dig through their history to say, hey, you voted for this at one point in time, but we're going to pretend that you never changed your viewpoint on this, so we're never going to vote for you ever again. We're always going to hold that against you, even though you've clearly changed your viewpoint to the point where the HRC is backing you. So those people who are saying that he's anti-pride community because he's giving money to people like Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, they don't know what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're talking about. But this is exactly the kind of scenario that we have to really address. Because how much longer is this going to continue? How much longer is this going to go on before somebody on that side that can't easily be dismissed says, you know what, this is going too far. We need to dial it back. We need to check these people who are constantly going after anyone who dares to say anything against us. And this is becoming a war. This is becoming more of a war between the media, the mainstream media, and people on YouTube. Because if you notice on Reset Era, yes, they had a thread on this. It went 23 pages. It might still be growing by the time you watch this. And yes, because Reset Era has a way of purging anybody who dares think for themselves or grows a brain, they are all going about him as some kind of hideous monster. And you even got people who are verified game developers and who are verified on that site saying that they are disappointed or they are abhorred by this news. Now, granted, those are people whose company I never even heard of, including Vertigo Gaming Inc., who shares a name with Vertigo Games, which is a VR game developer. I'm not quite sure where we're going with that, but the former has games that I have never heard of, yet they get awards according to Steam, so I would investigate that if that were somebody who had more time than I do in order to get to working in investigating that. But we really need to have a serious discussion about why this is not getting checked, why Reset Era is not getting checked, why Taku or Polygon, well, we know why they won't, but why isn't anybody checking this? There's got to be someone from the left, from our side, that will check this, because yes, Jimmy Dore is in fact checking the Young Turks on what they're saying, and Young Turks are getting smacked down by him right now. And their whole idea in order to fight back is to lie about what Jimmy Dore did behind the scenes without giving any credence to the real reason why we are even talking about them in the first place, which is a leaked members only video in which they tried to lie about Aramate's coverage about Syria, because TYT is in the tank for some reason and they won't admit it. They won't just say they were wrong. They can't say they were wrong. And of course, they might respond to everything because they can't help themselves on that either. They can't just let things go. They have to respond to everything right now. And it's the same thing with this. Why do they care? Why do these people care? If you really want to say that Scott Cawthon is anti-gay or anti-trans or anti-abortion just from the fact that he's donating to candidates, why is Tulsi Gabbard on there then? Because she is against abortion. She voted against stuff that would make abortion illegal. She is for LGBTQ plus rights. And you can't bring up her past in order to try to negate what she has done lately on those issues. So where's the common ground there in which he's giving money to Tulsi Gabbard? Maybe he's just a centrist. Some something that everybody on the left and the right are saying that is the most toxic people around. Yet, no, they're not. We're just calling both sides the way we see it, and that both sides are corrupt right now, and they need to be checked, and we can see things in ways others can't right now. That's the one constant that the left and the right have right now. That's the only constant they have, is that they hate centrists. And centrists are not evil. They can see what others who are so blinded by their own political side cannot. Why would somebody say they are against LGBTQ plus rights or issues and are against abortion and then want to have Tulsi Gabbard? And hey, maybe he donated to Donald Trump because he didn't like Joe Biden, because he would rather be one of those types of people who would rather not vote for Joe Biden or keep Joe Biden out of office than to see him get into office and do whatever he thinks Joe Biden would do that would harm the country. And yes, I know people who have done that would vote for the opposing candidate because they didn't like the candidate that was in their party who they chose. And keep in mind that yes, Joe Biden won, but we should have needed a Georgia Senate runoff in order to get to Senate as well. Somebody screwed up there. Somebody needs to really look into themselves in the Democratic Party right now, and no one's doing that because they're all being influenced by these people who are saying, oh, you did nothing wrong. It's the other side that's doing everything wrong. You're doing absolutely nothing wrong. Look into your own party. Something in there is toxic right now. The right has a bunch of toxic things right now, the MAGA hats, but you guys there are doing just as bad. You're just not going into violence or anything like that, but you're doing psychological violence, you're doing emotional violence, and you're bordering on doing what the right is doing now. And if Patrick Quebec or George A. Jimenez wants to call Scott Cawthon out on his campaign contributions, why don't they share their own? Why don't people who are criticizing Scott Cawthon share who they're contributing to? You want me to say it? Yeah, I'll say it, but in doing so, I might have to let the world in on a little bit of something that I might have noticed here. Have you noticed that there's at least 3 people on Twitter who are claiming to be Scott Cawthon right now, and none of them have a blue check mark? There might be some problems in this whole entire way that this was researched. Right now, I know of 2 places that you can go in order to get information about who donated to where. The one that this original Twitter user used in order to get Scott Cawthon's information, which I don't know why he would do that or she would do that, because this was seemingly done in a vacuum. What reason did they have to even go into Scott Cawthon's history? What did he even say? What was the reason you had in order to even bring this up? Did you just randomly decide, hey, I'm going to search to see what's going on? Or did you have a prior reason? Did he do something prior to make you want to do this? However, 2 that I know of are the one that he used, which was OpenSecrets.org, which is funded by the Center for Responsive Politics, which is a nonprofit organization. And the other one is the official government website that you can go to, which is FEC.gov. And there's more to that address, but I do believe that FEC.gov will give you the starting grounds into getting to that website. And I found something really odd. OpenSecrets.org seems to have a lot more information on their records than the official government site has on their own. For instance, if I go and search for Scott Cawthon's contributions on the official FEC.gov website, I get absolutely nothing. No Scott Cawthon contributions are shown. Now, you may think, okay, this might be something because it's an official site, it's officially a government organized site, that they might not have the same information that somebody who is a third party might. However, if I go to George A. Jimenez, 3 listings do come up, all from different states, which is kind of odd. All of them, the recipients are Act Blue. There are small donations, but they're donations nonetheless. Act Blue is a progressive super PAC. Now, there are no listings on either site for Patrick Quebec when I went to look him up. However, when I go onto OpenSecrets.com and type in George A. Jimenez, I get a bunch of different listings from a bunch of different people who have the exact name, but have different occupations. Like some might say that he was a teacher or a design laboratory or a grad student or a real estate broker. Which one are we supposed to say was the one that's working for PC Gamer. We do not know this. And by the way, one of the Georgia Jimenez from Miami gave $475 to Donald Trump. So who are we supposed to believe? And this might be more informational than what a video game maker has given to whatever political candidate or committee, because these people, these video game journalists, are actively telling us what their politics are and are interjecting their own political beliefs into how they review games. Polygon has already said that they are going to look at things like political viewpoints into how they review games, and even though they have disclosed that, many other gaming journalism websites have not. This might be very important and maybe something that we should be able to look up. They should have to disclose that kind of information if they are actually going to put their political beliefs into how they review games. And no, you're not disallowed from talking about politics in any sort of way, but when a video game is actually delving into an issue in which political matters would be discussed, the viewpoint should be whether or not the message is executed well within the game and not just shoehorned in there for the sake of having it in there and just tokenizing the viewpoint, and not whether or not you agree with their viewpoint or not. And this should be disclosed by people who are giving us this type of opinion, this type of review. And why the FTC doesn't take action about this, I have no idea. Why are we YouTubers the only media outlet that has to do this? Why shouldn't they expand it to these media outlets? Especially when we have to go far and beyond in order to understand where they're putting their money towards. And more along the lines of that, if a political candidate is giving money to Kotaku and to Polygon in order to spout this sort of political ideology, regardless if they're from the right wing or left wing, and that might be even more dangerous. The bottom line here, though, is that Scott Cawthon should have never been wrangled out of the game industry for this alone. This should never have been an issue. This should have never been a mountain. This should have just been a molehill. And the fact that not many, if any, have condemned the doxing and the threats and the death threats publicly, if us YouTubers have to be the one to call that out, and we're just talking about the people who went too far here, if they're not willing to call this out and we have to be the only ones to do it, then who are the horrible people in this scenario, Reset Era? Who are the people who are trying to do the right thing, Patrick? Who are trying to make sure that video game designers are able to work on what they do best? What was wrong with what Scott Cawthon was doing as being a video game developer that you had to even search this information? Why did you care? What made you want to go search this information and then cancel him on that point? What made you want to do this? What did he say about you that you felt so triggered to do this? And if you want to talk about, oh, well, he was right wing and he was Christian and all of this, you know what? What you just did is as right wing as it gets, is as corrupt as it gets. And until we can get on the same page, assuming you want to get on the same page, we're never going to solve this. You have to stop calling us YouTubers as the devil just because we're daring to call you out, because no one else is going to do it. Because we're not going to trust Kotaku to do it because they're in deep in it. We're not going to trust Polygon to do it. We're not going to trust Giant Bomb to do it. We're not going to trust Reset Era. For God's sakes, we're not going to trust Reset Era to do it. It has to be us, because we're the only one with a spine. We're the only ones with a bit of intestinal fortitude to call it out. It will take guts to do it. And because you guys don't have a spine anymore, and you want to whine and cry and bitch about PewDiePie and about people who are the devil or somehow neo-Nazis when you have no evidence to support that, just because we dare to call you out. PewDiePie is not a Nazi. He called you and The Guardian and The Independent out. That is all he did. And to counteract that, the Wall Street Journal decided, oh, we're going to do a smear campaign. You know what? He is not a Nazi. Can we get off of this? He's not a racist. Can we get off of that subject, Reset Era? But you have taken money from these video game websites and these people and these advertisers. That's why you don't want anybody calling you out. That's why you take things way too seriously and you take things way too far, and then you call out anybody who dares to say that you are incorrect. People are calling you toxic. You are the poison right now. And until somebody does something about you and these people who are taking money from advertisers in order to slime people who dare to do things on their own and don't need people like EA or Activision to publish their games, who don't need the money from your advertisers who buy advertising space on your site so they can pay you in order to funnel page clicks. This here is absolutely disgusting what you guys have done, what you guys have allowed to happen, and you don't care and are celebrating it. This should scare everybody. But yet, you're the people who call Total Biscuit problematic. You're the ones who call PewDiePie neo-Nazi. You're the ones who are suddenly deciding that MatPat needs to answer for whatever he's going to answer for. I mean, what do you want MatPat to say in this? That he condemns Scott Cawthon? That he thanks Scott Cawthon? What do you want him to say? What do you think he should say? Even if he decides to say something, if he says the wrong thing, you guys are going to cancel him anyway. So why bother even trying to appease to you people? You never get pleased by anything anybody ever does. And who knows, maybe he will. That's his choice. And he doesn't have to say what you approve of, because quite frankly, you are the most toxic people I've ever seen in a video game community ever. It would make a real big impact if Markiplier were to actually make a statement about this, because Markiplier is the one who's played the games the most on YouTube. So if you take a look at some of the things he said in response to the treatment you gave to PewDiePie, I would say that the stuff he might say is not going to be to your liking. And yes, I would be quite ready to hear whatever smackdown he has on you guys, because you guys are, again, the most toxic community we've ever seen in video games. And yes, I'm talking about Reset Era specifically. And you're the ones who are calling everybody from YouTube an absolute devil when they call you out. It's you, only you. We're the ones with the guts to call you out. You're the ones that were mad because we decided we were going to call out the banning of the two guys who said free Hong Kong first, and then you tried to pretend that we didn't care. Funny how that works. And now you fail to call out the people who are sending death threats and are pretending that never happened to people like Scott Cawthon, because he's not the first. He's certainly not going to be the last to get this kind of treatment. Stop blaming us for what is wrong with video gaming and look towards yourselves. You are the toxic people. You are the reasons that we have to come in and save the day here. The people on YouTube are doing actual journalism. They're doing actual work. They're actually giving a crap about gaming. If you guys don't want to call this out seriously, then you need to find other lines of work, because this is not helping us. This is just toxifying the waters, and Reset Era is the poison that you guys are taking. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard did vote for one other thing, net neutrality. And whoever is voting for net neutrality sure as hell should get some recognition from anybody's book. My name is Shady Shadow. That just happened.